Okay, I think I'm live. Let me check that everything's up. Let me double check the chat. Did that come through? I think it did. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're good to go. Yeah, thanks for getting the articles together as always.
Of course.
Hey, T251. Dude, he's on it. He's always here. Let's do a little check-in on T251 right before we start. Did you get that sub 23? Wow, this site is being really slow. Is my internet bad?
Which one is it? Is it games industry.biz or?
No, it's speedrun.com. Oh yeah, sorry, I gotta share my screen to you, huh?
I don't see anything. Because stream is like 15 seconds behind, so it's like.
Dang it.
I'm just guessing what you're watching.
I hate that. I'm sorry.
Also, I'll have to apologize in advance. If you hear dog noises, it's because there's a dog here, and she's a little anxious.
No worries.
So.
Tried to?
That's
Okay.
just life.
Yeah, my internet's fine, so I think the site just might be slow right now. All right. Cool. Yeah, T251 says no sub 23. But that's okay. I'm like so shocked that you can get it in such low times as it is. But I will say my daughter's getting closer to beating the Bell Beast. She's getting really good at the game. She's only 5, but she's totally a gamer. She's an addict. Just like me.
I gotta go close the door real quick. I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay. Just don't feel like it anymore. Don't feel it like it on the 4 shards one or in general. Speedrunning didn't go that good. I mean, I thought you did pretty good. If you like it and have fun with it, keep going. If you don't, yeah, do what you got to do. What's the next adventure if it's not speedrunning? That's what I want to know. All right, Night Owl, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it started. Welcome everyone to another Game Dev Newsroom, where we're just talking about some of the latest topics in the game dev industry. And just a quick reminder, I'm Mojo. I made a game. I'm trying to be an indie dev on the side while working a full-time job. The game I made is Droppy Ball. It's on Steam for $1, or it's free on the Play Store. And then joined with me is Night Owl, who is also an aspiring game dev, taking courses in Sweden.
Heck yeah.
All right.
That's the good intro.
It's a good one. All right.
Yeah.
I'm
You're
like,
getting better at this.
well, that's funny, but you say that because today I am so tired. So it's going to be a low energy day. But
You know, it's co-op.
it's
We're
co-op.
both a little bit tired, so It'll be like half and half.
Yeah, perfect. All right, so let's get into it. We got a bunch of articles to go over. We're gonna skim some of them because we're kind of beating a dead horse with some of them, but that's okay. That's how the news works.
Sure is.
What's up,
We
Sir
got some
Lunchalot?
interesting stories as well.
Yeah, yeah. So this is an article. The first one: Stop Killing Games EU petition hits 1.3 million verified signatures. And so a little bit of background on this: the Stop Killing Games petition it's a initiative in the EU, and the target number was 1 million signatures.
Yep.
Although they targeted much higher than that because apparently it's very common for these types of petitions for people to fake it. And so they do a verification after the fact to make sure that the votes were legitimate. And they've done that verification, and it came out that 1.29 million were legitimate. And
Which
this
is pretty
happened
crazy,
this happened in
honestly.
July, is that right?
Well, yeah, so the petition was earlier last year. Um, but the actual like what would you call it? The check that everything was legitimate happened more recently,
Yeah,
as far
yeah.
as I understood it. Um, so now we actually know that like the initiative had enough votes and even had like 300,000 extra votes, which I think is pretty cool. And the only reason I picked this story is just because of your background with this this initiative,
Yeah, I technically
where you
made a
blew up
video
a
on
little bit.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you?
oh, you
Yeah,
go,
go
you
ahead.
go.
I was just wondering if how your like thoughts have changed since you made that video on the whole initiative.
Sure,
Because I remember
yeah.
you being a little bit open to like not just accepting the initiative as like, oh, this is perfect idea. So I'm just a little curious.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. When I made the video, because that's basically how my channel got started, is I made a video about pirate software, and my thesis was like I don't really care about all the drama he's in. I care that he's given up on the indie dev dream. Um and so because of that, I didn't really do like a ton of research into Stop Killing Games. I basically just said like it seems like he misunderstands it, and people are mad about that. That was kind of what I said about it in the video. Obviously, I was hamming it up a little bit, trying to be, a slap tuber to some degree. But after the video, I did a little bit more research. I also have a friend who is like pretty into this scene, and we were talking about it. And it was funny because like the big thing was like Pirate Software doesn't understand this initiative. And what I came to realize is I don't think most people understand this initiative. I think that like most people haven't even gone to the website and read it because it's kind of vague. Like I know that that was like one of his arguments that people were so mad about, but like it's genuinely kind of vague. It's like he was like, "Oh, they just don't want, live service games to go down or whatever." And honestly, like totally says that in the site. And so like he was kind of right in some degree. I think he went about it super wrong. But yeah, my take on it is I don't think that most people who like jumped on board, like cuz it's very attractive, right? Stop killing games. I think everyone can agree that's an awesome statement. I think we should stop killing games. But the legislature that they're going for is kind of vague and could end up being problematic, I think. But I don't know. I don't really want to get into it. I don't think it's going to be too bad for this to exist. But I mostly say that because I'm not I'm not into the live service space myself, and so maybe I'm not like as passionate as I should be. I don't know. What do you think about it?
So I think I come at it from a kind of different perspective because like a lot of the games that I play are older titles
Yeah.
that just are like even single player games. Like recently I played Midnight Club 2, the old Rockstar racing game, which is still available on Steam as far as I understand. Like I could download it and play it. Uh, it's not from my library, so it might not be on sale anymore, but I can download it and I can play it and it works just fine. And I kind of feel bad for the people who bought a what was mostly like single player game and then had it taken offline because it was secretly live service, right?
Yeah.
It had like somewhat multiplayer if you got lucky. Um, and it's also in the same way, like if I play a lot of, or I don't do it right now, but I play old school RuneScape, and if they
Hmm.
were to take down the servers for that, like realistically, you could download the server files and just run it yourself, just like you would run a Minecraft world,
Yeah.
because they've made it in such a way where it's realistically single player if you really want it to be. So that's my angle. That's why I signed the petition. But I do definitely think that a lot of those 1.3 million like people who did sign it don't really know what it will lead to or should lead to. They are just like passionately against killing games, like you said. It's a very sexy title. Um, and I think it's most interesting right now to just see where it leads to with the EU, because they will have to discuss this, and there will probably be a legislature written for this. Might take a while because the EU is like huge, um, and we're already seeing like issues in other fronts, which we'll get to later. But uh, tech moves faster than the EU, so I'm not really sure where this will lead. But I'm really happy seeing that like they're in one of the more performant petition brackets. So it should be really interesting to see what the EU does with it. That's basically my take.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like that's how it all started, right? It was Crew, the Ubisoft game,
Yeah.
and they were like, they took down a game and it's gone. Yeah. And don't forget that there are young politicians rising, which were gamers just some years ago. Yeah. Um, so yeah. So how is this campaign going to save video games? If companies face penalties for destroying copies of games they have sold, this is very likely to start curbing this behavior. If a company is forced to allow customers to retain their games in even one country, implementing those fixes worldwide becomes a trivial issue for them. So basically, they're like, yeah, we want to do it in the EU because the EU kind of makes things happen and it'll probably get implemented everywhere. So, but it's vague, right? If companies face penalties for destroying copies of games they have sold, right? Like, what? There's no like hard description of what that means. And then over here, aren't you asking companies to support games forever? Isn't that unrealistic? No, we're not asking that at all. We are in favor of publishers ending support for a game whenever they choose. What we are asking for is that they implement an end of life plan to modify or patch the game so that it can run on customer systems with no further support from the company being necessary. That sounds great. But then the next question is, aren't they licensed? And it's like, yeah, I mean, if it's a license, like, what can you do? And I don't know. In the end, like what I got from this is like basically what they can do is just make companies be a little bit more transparent about what they're going to do. Like, oh, we're going to keep this alive until we can't, and then it's going down. Like they just need to like upfront say this game could go down. That's kind of what it seems like to me. Because like I don't know, like a MMO RPG, generally you're not buying the game. You're buying like an account and you're on a subscription, right? And so like you're not going to have like further support. Crew makes sense. Crew makes sense that they would need to like make that work on a single player system long term. And I think that that's a good idea. But again, I really don't know how much this initiative can do. I guess that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I did read a couple of articles late last year, I think in November. I wish I had them available, but there was some talk about the EU uh, discussing whether or not you actually are allowed to say that customers are buying when they are paying for a license. I don't think that went anywhere like in November. I'm sure it will come up later as well. Um, but I think that's more likely what will happen is that Steam, for example, and Epic and Ubisoft will have to call it something else than buy when you buy a game on their service. Um, because, well, this is the old classic. If buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing, you know? So if you want to call it a purchase, then you would have to provide the same support as you would to someone who had purchased a physical product, which on one hand means probably like not much, and on the other hand means don't go into their home and take it back, you know? So I think that's more likely where this will lead is just a change of language for selling licenses
Yeah.
to software products, which in like if that happens in my lifetime, I'll be very happy for it.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm kind of sick of this like rent-seeking behavior with subscriptions for everything. So if they have to be more transparent about what you're actually getting for what you pay, it's not like a purchased product, it's a license to use a product, then that's better. Like customers need to know what they're getting. And I'm saying that as like a developer wants to sell games. Um, yeah, it should be interesting to follow, but I think it's going to take a while before this actually materializes into anything real.
Yeah, and I feel like there's maybe a theme to the articles you picked out this week. Um, that maybe you don't think the same, but like to me, reading all of these articles, um, it's made me really appreciate that we have indie development right now. So I think that indie development is the best it's ever been, and honestly, like I hope that more people will go that route because I honestly feel like this stop killing games stuff is really only an issue because there are big companies that are trying to like monetize things and really control things in the AAA space. And that's like a total bummer for a lot of these players, right? The gamers are like, where'd my game go? And the answer is, oh, we weren't making enough money, so we took it down. Whereas I feel like indie developers are more likely to make a game and they just sell it once and you have it. And like I don't know, maybe that's not entirely true, but that's just the way I feel. Like I feel like an indie dev or an indie studio doesn't really care about the subscription service. It doesn't care about the continued support. They want the game to sell well and for people to play it, and it's a little bit more honest. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't have any data on it. I haven't talked to enough devs, like indie devs, to know how they are, like if they are or are not aligned with subscription models. I think subscription models can have their place for, yeah, like old school RuneScape. It's free. If you want to get all of the content, you pay a subscription, and it's not even a big subscription.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's reasonable in some cases. Um, but yeah, I do have like I do get the vibe from indie that there's like less greed going about
Yeah.
basically.
That's a good way to
Uh,
put it.
and I think again this is just like vibe based, but I think that just kind of lands in the fact that like you're so passionate about this project and like you have to work so hard to make it work. You can't just like throw together a team of like 100+ people and hope something sticks, you know?
Yeah.
So it's less of a business decision to be indie and more of like a creative and passionate decision. Um, for those of you listening, if you want to become a indie dev to make money, like don't like get a day job. It's not like
Yeah.
an easy path to money. That's not really the point. And if that is your point, get into other software development. Um, because there's just too much competition.
Yeah.
And I can also say that no, I did not pick these articles based on any specific criteria. This is just what fell into my lap and seemed interesting. Um, but it might just be sort of a game industry era thing,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. I kind of noticed a theme, and it's maybe just like an internal theme, but like a lot of these articles are about big companies and what they're doing. And to me, I was looking at those and I was like, I don't really want to be a part of those big companies. I want to, I want to be passionate about the game I'm making, not like stressed about what the leaders of the company are doing. With the money or whatever. So anyway, it's maybe just like a personal theme that I noticed. Um, but
It's
yeah,
always good to reflect on your place in the industry.
yeah. Well, and good call out. Like indie dev is definitely not any kind of guarantee of money. Um, but supposedly right now it's the best time ever. So
Well, I think it's the most fun time ever.
sure,
It's
yeah,
like it's you have like the best chance of being seen just because the platforms are really good. Even though the competition is really high,
hmm
the tools are more available than ever, and the just the information about how to make games is more available than ever. The community is bigger than ever. Like, yeah, it's a great time to make games, but I don't know if it's a great time to make money off of games.
yep. Well, let's wrap up this article and move on to the
Yep.
next one. So the the bottom part of this article is talking about how there was a similar petition in the UK, and the country's government responded saying that there is no law that forces companies to support older versions of their software. Consumers should be aware that there is no requirement in UK law compelling software companies and providers to support older versions of their operating systems, software, or connected products. A statement from the Department of Culture, Media, and Sport read. There may be occasions where companies make commercial decisions based on the high running costs of maintaining older servers for video games that have declining user bases. So, I mean, it's kind of just a statement of like the current state, and like this is probably what Stop Killing Games is like directly targeting is they want there to be these laws,
Yeah,
and
I feel
yeah,
like they kind of missed the point by making that statement.
uh-huh, yeah.
Like, yeah, we're telling you, hey, we want this changed, and they're like, yeah, it's not like that. Like, yeah, we know. That's why we made the petition.
Yeah,
But it's of course it's very different now with UK leaving the EU.
uh-huh,
Like they're still part of Europe, but they can make less. They have to make more effort to make change in their own country because they don't have the support of the surrounding countries.
yeah.
So sucks for them, but hopefully there will be other petitions and other forces of good.
Yeah, and I'll keep an eye on this stuff for sure. I want to see what happens with Stop Killing Games. But again, I'm just like I don't think people really understand what it's going to be capable of doing. So,
Yeah, and I think the people that do understand are kind of sick of talking about it as well.
yeah, yeah, probably.
Well, so should we talk about that, like the stories that we are skipping this week, and like kind of why?
Um
Because we don't have
sure.
to actually look at them. Like I'm not interested in talking more about Ubisoft.
Yeah, I'll pull up the articles just so that we have something on the page.
Yeah. Um. So I don't know how many weeks in a row we've been talking about Ubisoft and their issues and their decline, but it's still not going well. um, the unions are calling to stop development for Ubisoft. They've been asking the CEO to step down. They had a meeting, like like a town hall meeting. I don't know what the corpo speak, but like they've had all these, they've tried all these things and they've had all these responses, and it's just like not going well. And we've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm just kind of sick of talking about Ubisoft. Like I'm not interested anymore. I don't care what happens to Ubisoft at this point. They've had they've had the spotlight for enough time. I just want some news about a different company. Like honestly, I'm just a little sick of it. I sound more upset than I actually am. I think it's kind of funny that they keep coming up in my news feeds, but it's just like they've made a lot of mistakes in a very short time, and I think it's sort of adding up. I'm sure we'll get some interesting news eventually, but currently all the news about Ubisoft is just like about them not doing any better. And that's how it's been for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna really talk about it.
Yeah. I had like a couple things that
Yeah.
about it that I was like singling out, but they weren't necessarily about Ubisoft. There were like the one thing that kind of stuck out to me is how against return to office people are. And I feel like that's something that affects my industry as well, just the software development industry. Um, and I'm actually like on the side of return to office policies. I understand how incredibly difficult that is to say. But for me, being in office is just way better than being like working at home. And so, yeah, I kind of wanted to like bring it up as just like a short little topic, because that is part of what Ubisoft is doing, is they're saying not only are we like shutting down a ton of studios, but the studios that we're keeping up, you've got to be in office 5 days a week. And that sucks because they let people oh shoot, my camera turned off. One sec. I need to make a timer for this camera so that I know to wake it up again. Yeah, it really sucks because they let people work from wherever they want. And so like I think in this article they say like a bunch of people in like the Paris office moved out to the countryside and they were living their best lives out in the French countryside, which sounds incredible. And now they're like, nope, you got to move back into Paris. And they're like, I don't want to do that. I can't even afford it anymore, right? And so
Yeah.
so that really sucks. And I'm not like discounting that, but I think like if a company wants to get people working in office again, which I think is a good thing, I think that people should be talking to each other face to face. I think that more conversations happen just sitting at your desks next to each other, that are like crazy important. At least that's the case with me at my job. And so like I think that that's a good thing, and you kind of have to rip the band-aid off to get it to happen. And what's funny about it is like I've totally been against this in the past. But I've come to kind of like it. Anyway, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a difficult question, really, with the whole like return to office policy. I don't think I mind being in the office to start off with. I think it's definitely more like rewarding to have a meeting in person than it is to have over Zoom or Teams or whatever.
Yeah.
But the problem for me is that we've kind of, as a global community of office workers, have kind of proved that it worked. Like during COVID, I did like a year of my studies over Zoom or whatever, and people did like their full job without problem over Teams or Zoom.
Yeah, but
And
was that not
everything just
terrible?
worked.
Like did you
Well,
wish you were in a class?
was it much better to have to spend like an hour every day getting to the office and hang out with like a bunch of people that you may or may not really care about meeting, um, and then you have to go 1 hour home afterwards, especially if you're working late. Like, this example is mostly as a student, but there were days where I would stay like 3 extra hours after everything was done just to like catch up on some previous stuff, and then I had to go home afterwards.
Hmm.
Um, and it was just like during COVID, everyone just did their work, and then they went offline, and there was like not a problem, and we still could like find the time to hang out, well, digitally, of course, because of COVID. Um, but we made it work, and it was not a problem. And then I think how I've sort of felt the vibe, at least here in Sweden, is like a lot of people just don't care about coming back to the office because they can just do their work and then live their life. Like they get an extra at least 2 hours a day to just do whatever they want because they don't have to go into office. Um, so I think I am leaning more towards that. I think I'm very comfortable with working from home, um, but I'm very open to having meetings and discussions in the office if needed. Um, I just don't feel the need to get to the office every single day, basically. I don't mind working from home. But I don't think that's why people are upset specifically either.
Yeah.
Um, I think why people are upset is because it feels like the company is asserting control over their time and their place, which of course that's what a company is. Like you don't go do a job for fun. You do it for money, and then you do the work, and then they get what they want. They make money off of you, like of course. But I think people have become a little bit more radicalized, maybe, and more concerned about their own time and their own, like, even mental health, um, and realize that, like, yeah, it does affect me negatively in a bunch of ways if I have to go back to the office. Um, so I am upset about it. I don't think it's weird that people are upset about the return to office
Yeah.
um, thing.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the best way to put it. I'm totally with you. I think that like as an employee who just set up like their perfect home office, and this totally happened to me by the way. So I was working at a company, COVID happened, and they helped everyone move their desk from the office, the physical office, back home. And so they helped me set up my home office, and they're like, "Yeah, we got rid of our lease. There's no physical site for this company anymore." And then when COVID was cooling down, they were like, "Well, now we got this office, and we want people to come back in." They didn't force anyone right away. I think they did force people after I left the company, um, but there were like so many people because I knew a bunch of them after I left the company, and they were like, "I moved, you know, I'm in Florida now. Like I can't I can't just like go back into the office." Um,
right.
and the company, I don't remember what their official stance on it was, but I want to say it was like some people were being allowed to work remote because they were so valuable, and some people were like not, and then they would like either have to get a new job or like move back. And so yeah, like I think return to office is like extremely messy. I think that it really sucks, and it sucks both for the company and for the people that have to do it. And honestly, there was a ton of turnover at this company I worked at because of this policy. There were a bunch of people that just left, and then they had to hire a bunch. And now it's, you know, almost 4 years since I left, and honestly, like they're all in office now, and they got over it. And so I'm not saying that that went well or that it was genuinely a good thing for the company, but like I don't know. I think my stance is more like conceptual. It's like I kind of want my life to return to how it was before COVID. I kind of like hated COVID times and being alone and being isolated from people. and being in office has just been like really good, really collaborative, and a lot more gets done, a lot more gets said. People in meetings are a lot more engaged than when no one's got their camera on. I don't know. I'm a fan. I know it sucks. I think I would hate it if I was told to return to office, and I had moved or whatever. But anyway, that I thought I would bring that up because that was one part of the article where I was like, like these people are like insinuating that they want, they want like control over people or like, like actual productivity, and like justify spending on commercial real estate, stuff like that. Like they're insinuating that there's like ulterior motives there, when I think that higher ups just, they notice. I don't know, maybe US tech market sucks, but like in the US, like it's pretty common knowledge that productivity went down in COVID. Like people were not working as much. And so yeah, getting back in office I think can actually help with that. But anyway, maybe a bit of a hot take.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's a hot take. It's a very complex issue.
Yeah.
And there are definitely like many sides to it. I do believe like that there are factors like you mentioned with the need to justify spending on commercial real estate, which is like a really, I mean, it's a it's a pretty edgy statement, but I do think it is a factor. Like, oh, we built this super cool tech building.
Yeah.
Of course, we want to make sure that people use it. Otherwise, we're just wasting money. And especially in Ubisoft's case, I think that's even more true. Like with all these like studio closures, imagine how much money they're saving on real estate.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So it's definitely more complex than just like it's good or bad. And I do think it's fine to have different opinions on it. But I think in Ubisoft's case, maybe having a return to office policy immediately on top of layoffs and like a CEO that isn't like seemingly the nicest to his workers. I don't know. It's a weird look. But yeah, in general, I think it's more complex than we can get through in a news segment.
Oh yeah. Well, and honestly, like I think you bring up the good point, which is that a company just flounders when it's not transparent. Like because that's one of the things is they're like, they had this like meeting and they were like answering questions and the people were like, I don't feel any better about this after this meeting. So like I think they just really stink at communication, and that I think that's the worst look for a company personally. Like when you're working at a company, you want to be involved. Even like that's something that I've noticed with the company I currently work at is like we've got software developers and like hardware people, or like not hardware people, but people that are like helping sign the contracts for the hardware. And they're like potentially the people that are actually like making the thing, right? And so they're obviously involved. But then like we've got QA, we've got customer support, we've got like all these things, these other roles that aren't like directly building the product, but they feel like so involved. They want to be like there all the time and understand the product, and they want to help out in every way they can. And so like when you're really transparent about how the company's doing and like what we're working on, and there's just like communication across the board, then people feel involved and they work better. And so I think that Ubisoft is like not good at that right now. I think that people are like getting disenchanted because they don't know what's going on. They don't feel involved, and they don't feel excited. So I think it would be hard to work there.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, but they've really been fumbling the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Are we done talking about
Yeah,
that?
sorry. I just wanted to bring up the return to office thing because I feel like I had a hot take about that. And
I'm mostly kidding. But it's just like, it's pretty unfortunate to see that they've just like not been doing any better since we started talking about what was going on.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
we'll see. Maybe if we get some good Ubisoft news, we'll talk about them again.
Yeah. And also like I mean it feels to me like they are restructuring, which is terrible for your stocks, but long term maybe that's a good thing. We'll see. It
Yeah,
could be like
we will see.
3 years from now they're back at it, you know. We'll see. All right, so this one was interesting. Maybe I'll have you take this one away.
Yeah, I'll take it. So, oof, I love this one. I just
Yeah.
looked at the screen and saw what you were talking about. UK court rules stealing RuneScape gold is actually criminal theft. And I giggled the first time I saw this title.
Yeah.
So we'll do the in brief, and then we can start discussing a little bit. The UK Court of Appeals has issued a judgment ruling that stealing in-game currency in old school RuneScape can be classified as criminal theft. And this comes out of former Jagex developer Andrew Lakeman, who was charged with stealing 705 billion gold pieces from 68 different old school RuneScape player accounts and selling the currency for Bitcoin and fiat currency. Which, first of all, that number, 705 billion gold pieces, I have never seen that much money in RuneScape at all. Like, that's a lot of gold. That's like years of collecting gold.
A billion of anything is crazy high.
It's crazy. And that's only 68 old school RuneScape players.
Yeah, so these were
Wild.
potentially the highest earning accounts of all time or something, you know?
Yeah. And so the way that he got this money was by hacking and/or using credentials of members of the account recovery team, which is also there kind of wild. I had no idea that this happened at all. Like I've
Yeah, I'd never heard
not
of
seen
this.
anything about it. And then of course the offline trading bit is really interesting. Have you seen anything about the Counter-Strike market? How that
Oh
works?
yeah. Yeah, I've heard of that.
So you can sell on the Steam market and they take like a 30% cut, or you can sell for PayPal funds and not have a 30% cut. But it's against TOS in most ways, I think,
Yeah.
like real world trading. And I think it's against TOS on old school RuneScape as well, but with the whole botting crisis, which is more complex than this, I think they've landed in like, let's not mess with it.
Hmm.
But the fact that someone from in-house did it is kind of wild.
Yeah.
So anyway, the gold prices amounted to a real-world trading value of, I will do the US number, 746,000 US dollars.
That's
That's a
crazy.
lot of money.
I would take that money.
I'd take that money too.
That sounds
It's
nice.
wild. All right, so here comes the interesting part. The case's original ruling deemed gold pieces, not rivalrous. I don't know what that word means in this specific
I don't really know what
context,
that means. Yeah. Should we look it up?
but that they are more akin to pure information since there is an infinite supply to it. So I'm guessing it means like because there's an infinite supply, it doesn't count as theft because you're not actually stealing a physical thing, right?
Yeah.
And then there was, it was overruled by Lord Justice Popplewell, which sounds like a made-up name, but I'm sure it is real. Uh, the the ruling says that the gold pieces exist as identifiable assets distinct from the code, which gives rise to them and outside the minds of people. There is no good policy reason for us accepting them from the category of property which can be stolen. And realistically, yeah, that kind of applies to Bitcoin as well, right? Uh, it's not a physical thing. It's just something that sort of is information.
Hmm.
Um, so really, really interesting. I am curious to see what you think about like in-game currency being considered stealable and actually like taking someone to court over it. Like, what do you think about that? Just that fact.
Yeah. My initial thought was like this right here doesn't make sense. They exist as identifiable assets distinct from the code. Um, that feels like nonsense to me. Like sure they're not like code, like they're probably like a database number, but like in the end, like it is pure knowledge. Like it's just bits, right? Um, so that sucks because RuneScape, like someone who works at RuneScape could probably just go and add 1 billion to their own account. Like there's not really anything to stop them from doing something like that. The fact that you can trade real world money for that makes it concerning. Because, yeah, like a Jagex employee could, you know, even just like on a debug account, like they're just trying to test things. Like they just want to see that the value in like 1 billion like fits in the screen, you know, something like that, right? They just give themselves a ton of money. If they sell that on a public market, like, yeah, that seems problematic. And so it's interesting. Like, I mean, I think in the case here, the UK Court of Appeals made the right call. Like, this was theft. This was hacking. But like, maybe it's not hacking, or it's not theft because it was digital currency. It's maybe more of theft because he hacked in and stole it and then made real world money off of it, you know? Like maybe this money should have belonged to Jagex or you know, the people he stole from. So I don't
Would
know.
you
Like,
consider it theft if he wouldn't have sold it on like a real world market?
yeah, I would consider it hacking. I wouldn't have considered it theft. And hacking and stealing data, like even if it's like fictional data, is still like pretty frowned upon in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But is it like illegal to steal in-game currency if it doesn't, because it technically doesn't have a real world value. The market is third party, and it's the same way like selling a WoW account. You don't sell it for the money you paid to get it or the subscription you paid to use it. You sell it for what's stored on it, right?
Yeah.
So if you have good gear or whatever. But it's not part of the terms of service. There's no service to extract real world value from World of Warcraft, like officially. It's all third party stuff. Like how how is that like any way different from like, stealing a car and selling the parts from it? Like I'm just like
Yeah.
philosophizing here because I
Yeah.
don't know the answer.
Yeah,
I
this
think
is
this is a really
definitely
weird story.
yeah, this is definitely like the school of thought of philosophy. Like what is, you know, the value? What yeah, what is theft? What, you know, it's we're trying to like come up with definitions for these things because it's it's weird. This is a weird situation. Um it feels like someone was robbed, right? Because he
Mm-hmm.
made this much money off of it. Um he hacked in. I mean, he just hacked credentials of the okay, by hacking and or using credentials of members of the account recovery team. So basically like he worked for Jagex. He
Right.
knew the account credentials to do account recovery and he just logged in and he recovered these players' accounts in his name. Like that right there is totally against the law. You can't do something like that. I think maybe this is the gray area that somehow the UK court focused on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, maybe it's because the monetary value of the theft is what represents the crime. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I don't really want to live in a world where RuneScape Gold is like an actual asset that can be stolen and prosecuted. Um,
I mean, technically, we already live in that world.
yeah,
I don't know
true.
if you remember us. I think we did talk about this, but the fact that like uh, you made more money farming gold in old school RuneScape if you lived in Argentina than you did working a normal 9 to 5 job. So the gold in the game definitely has like a real world value to some people already. Um, so you're already in that world, which
Yeah,
is crazy. The thing I'm more like thinking about in this case is, will people say 10 years, 15, 20 years from now react with as much surprise and confusion as we are reacting right now? I don't think so, actually. I think this is something that will, like, this is a precedent for what will be, or how things will be handled in the future. If someone, like, hacks in and steals your account, if you can get them to appear in court, I'm sure they would be able to, like, prosecute them with theft if there is real world value to what they stole.
yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
not a
think
lawyer.
I think that's no. I think that's the good point. It's like if there is real world value, then it totally changes the game. And so yeah, like I said, I think that the UK court made the right call, and that's shocking to me.
Hmm.
So interesting. Yeah.
Yep. We can leave it at that. I just really thought this was like such a surprising and interesting story.
All right. Where I think I'm missing an article. No, I'm not. Okay, we'll bring this over. All right. GDC survey happened, and
Right.
2,300 game industry professionals answered the survey. And then this was crazy, and we'll talk about why it's crazy. But 52% of respondents said generative AI was having a negative impact. With one, well, okay, I think this might be a typo. With one responding, no problem Gen AI solves in this industry that is worth the kind of loss to creativity and jobs. Um, so the 52% number is crazy because that is a 30% increase from last year. So last year, that means 22% of people were like, yeah, Gen AI is negatively impacting the game industry. This year, a majority. That's crazy. What are your thoughts?
Actually, I thought the number would be a little bit bigger, but I'm also probably expecting a bigger number because of things that happened after the survey was um, being sent out. Because there have happened things since, or it's hard to explain, but while GDC was going on, the weeks before and slightly after, there were a bunch of AI things that were considered pretty negative to the game industry at large. So I'm sure the number will be bigger next year. Is basically what I'm saying. I would have expected maybe 70% to have responded that they thought it was negative, based on what happened leading up to the survey being released publicly.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I would have also answered, if the answer or question was, do you think it's negative or positive? I think I would have also have answered that it's negative if there were like no no more granularity in that.
Yeah.
Um, and I do understand people who, especially with that comment that they mentioned, um, that it doesn't solve any problems that are worth the kind of loss to creativity and jobs. Um, I think that's a really strong thing to say, and I do kind of agree with it. Um, yeah, it's tough, but it's really interesting. Do you
Yeah,
have any thoughts
so
on it?
well, I was just gonna point out. So you sent two articles basically about the same thing, but in the second
Well,
article,
yeah.
it says support for unionization was higher among workers earning less than 200,000 per year. Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong thing. I swear there was one that was like the same thing, and it was like younger people are more into AI. Shoot, maybe I'm remembering incorrectly.
Da, 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 da.
All right, yeah, I think I'm just remembering incorrectly. That's my bad. I thought it was like old people are more resistant, but I'm hallucinating now. I'm the AI.
No, but
Um,
there's just a lot of numbers in these three articles. That's fine.
all right, so Strix in the chat asked, real question, how would it be positive? And I think the like, oh yeah, see you, Sir Lunch a lot. Thanks for hopping in. I think the real answer to that, or like the like maybe obvious answer, which may not be how people actually feel, but the obvious answer is like technically AI should be making things faster. And so yeah, like the this is kind of how I feel. This guy says so. One former senior employee quoted in the report calling generative AI wretched, saying that it's built on theft and plagiarism. It uses insane amounts of energy. F you for even asking, honestly. And
That's
so,
really funny.
like, I think that's
That's a
kind
really
of
funny
how I
quote.
feel. Is like, I don't think we've seen the legal ramifications of this yet. I think that
Absolutely.
like it's a race. It's a race to be the first to get Gen AI, or sorry, General Intelligence, I should say, AGI. And that's like the top economy in the world right now. And so for that reason, like insane amounts of energy, insane amounts of theft and plagiarism because it's a race. And people don't care about the repercussions right now, and I think that's a problem. Uh but even more than that, like my issue, like even though this is a massive issue to me, like I just don't like using it. I think maybe that's a hot take, and maybe it makes me a boomer, but like it's not fun. I I feel like, oh gosh, my camera again. I feel like I'm babysitting this like really stupid machine that's like trying to do something for me, and I'd rather just learn, you know? I'd rather just do it the way I like to do it. I don't know. I feel like I'm an old and grouchy guy now because of AI, and I hate it. So how would it be positive? In my opinion, I don't know. In theory, it's to make you faster. Um, I haven't really noticed that to be true for myself, but also I'm not spending ridiculous amounts of money on these models, and so you know maybe only the rich are going to be ultra productive in the future. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I don't actually. That was a really good take. I don't have much else to say about it. Uh, the only thing I was thinking about is just like if you listen to the hype and the optimism from the people who are backing AI, then yeah, you would think that it would be positive. But the
Yeah,
results have sort of told us that that's not really the case. You can dream about it, but we're not quite there yet. We're not actually even close to what they're evangelizing about. And AI usage in, like, especially game companies has already led to layoffs. Um, and that's a bad look. Um,
yeah.
I feel like,
I think
yeah,
people are
go ahead.
jumping the gun based on promises.
Yep. And I'm sure there will be a place where AI is more energy efficient, and it is more useful as a tool than it is as a replacement for people doing the work. Because now it's often being used as. I actually watched a video on what's it called, Suno, that
Hmm.
music AI thing,
Yeah,
and what the claimed in the video was that the people who used the tool mostly used it to make music for themselves and not for other people. So if that's the world that we're going to end up with, where people just use AI tools to make things for themselves and not for other people, like that's not for me what art is about. I don't know. It sort of
Yeah.
takes away the aspect that I love about making art and making projects, is to be able to share them with others and show like, here's what I did, how do you like it, what did you do, and there's I feel like the my interest in comparing gets removed if they haven't done the work themselves, basically.
Yeah, like people are using AI to make art, but they're using the art for pure entertainment, which I think is like kind of okay. Like if you generate, an image that's like a political commentary and it's funny and like it's not meant to like make money. Like I think those can be kind of funny. I think that the AI music can be like awesome sometimes.
And with the trucks or whatever and explaining what they do, it's kind of funny. I'll
Yeah.
give that.
Yeah,
But it's like not.
I
It
follow
doesn't
the
give me more than a
Primogen.
laugh.
Do you
Yeah,
know the Primogen?
of course I do.
So he was doing this thing on his stream one time where he was putting like DHH rants into
Oh my god.
Suno and making music out of them. And they were so awesome. They were so good. And it's like DMCA free. So like there's like funny uses of AI, you gotta use up all of the water of a small town to make one of those songs. But like, it can be like fun and entertaining. But yeah, to me, it like there's no art in AI. Like what it's doing is simply a product, and it's pure entertainment. And so yeah, I think like any artist is going to be resistant to that. Real quick, Strix Legacy asked, are we talking about AI encoding or image generation? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the definitions here. So we're talking about generative AI, and that's like kind of what all AI is right now.
Yeah.
There are a few different kinds of AI, but yeah, right now the big hype is generative AI, and it's all predictive. And so what it does is you say, "Hey, I want this thing," and it just tries based on all the data it has to predict whether the thing it's going to give you is what you want. And it's learned from analyzing, like in the case of image generation, it's learned by analyzing what pixels need to be next to other pixels, and it'll generate a picture for you based on what it thinks you want. And then it's the same with code. So AI coding and image generation are technically the same thing here, because what it's doing is it's literally just trying to generate what it thinks is the correct way to do it based on the data it's been given, based on what other people have done. And so in that regard, it's just generating chunks of text that it thinks are correct. It's not like running the code and testing it and like doing all this stuff. It's just like, oh, there's a GitHub somewhere that does it this way, so we're going to change this line to be this, and we're going to use this library because everyone uses this library and stuff like that, which is where you get into like a lot of potholes or a lot of pitfalls in coding. Images, there's a little bit less of pitfalls, I would say, because there's just so many images out there, and you don't have to like test that they are running correctly like code. But yeah, I mean, in the end, like, yeah, it can make a piece of art, a piece of like, it can make a picture super fast. It can make a function super fast, but yeah, I don't know if that's a positive thing for the industry. People are pretty good at clowning on a company that uses AI art. Maybe that'll change when it gets better. We'll see.
Well, from what I've understood from talking to other people in like my community, uh, my group of developers and friends, everyone just seems to feel like it just feels cheap, you know? You know when you pick up like an electronic tool, like a drill or whatever, and
Mhm.
it just feels too light to be true.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that vibe to it. It's like, oh, do I trust this thing to actually be what I want it to be, or will it just explode and become garbage? I don't. I'm not saying a picture on the internet is gonna do that, but it just feels cheap. It's got that like smell of still um, industry chemicals clinging onto it, kind of that thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like someone has actually looked at it and gone, "Hey, that looks good." It's just like produced and then thrown in a basket and then sold for a dollar at dollar store,
Yeah.
basically. And they're putting
Yeah.
so much money into it. Like something has to be weird here. Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And we should be happy that it's still got that smell right now.
Yeah.
Um, because it means that professionals are still needed, which even if CEOs don't know that, professionals are still needed. If you generate a bunch of code, you still need a professional who knows what it's doing to work on the security, to polish it up, to make it actually useful. If you generate an image, you still need a professional illustrator to fit your theme. Um, more than likely, when you're generating images, it's just concept art because there's no consistency in AI generated art. You can't be like, oh, generate all the art for the game and make it cohesive and like have that just like work. That just doesn't work. And so we're lucky right now that there's still like issues with it. But I think, 5 years from now, it's going to be perfect or like pretty close to perfect. And so that's what people are worried about. People are like, I don't feel like this is real art, and so I don't like it. I feel like this is going to mean that no one works, and what the heck does that even do? Like what like if no one's working, like what the heck? I don't know. It feels terrible, but maybe that's just grouchy old me.
Well, it's hard to know, right? There hasn't been any like precedents for something like this before. This is like a new horizon. And this actually takes us pretty well into the next article if you want to swap over to that, the
This
Video
one?
Games Chronicle article.
Oh,
I think we're done with the.
sorry. Let me bring this over. There's a lot of ads on this one.
Yeah, we don't have that much time left, do we? Either.
Yeah, I'm over time, but I'll be okay.
All right. So this one actually was requested by Sir Launcelot. Unfortunately, he left, but
Oh,
I'll have to tell him after the fact. He actually asked me to discuss Project Genie if I found any articles on it. And so what's interesting about Project Genie is it's an AI tool that is supposed to let you make interactive worlds. It's made by Google, and it made a bunch of game developer stocks just completely crash, which is interesting. Unity had like a huge dip, but even CD Projekt Red had a drop. And I don't know if have you seen Project Genie? What it looks
no, I
like?
haven't.
It's kind of dookie. Like it's not very good. Um, and the reaction to it, in my opinion, seems a little overblown. And it seems, yeah, I'm even on that part of the article. Um, William Blair analyst Dylan Becker told Bloomberg that these concerns were overblown. And I think, yeah, it's under the graph. And I think that's true. Like, I don't think we should watch the video. Maybe you can link the video in chat just so people can watch it on their own time if they want to. It's right below the this part of the article, right
Ah,
there.
yeah, this.
um, it does like it's cool as a concept, but there have been many of its kind, and I don't think it will last longer than Google Plus did, to be honest. Um, Definitely cool as like an idea, but it doesn't work well enough to really be useful. Like you don't have enough control over it. Do you remember that AI Minecraft thing?
Yeah. Is it like
Yeah,
that?
it's kind of like that, but
Okay.
more not just Minecraft,
Okay.
which is what makes it cool. Maybe we'll come back to this in another week or so when we know a little bit more about it.
I mean, this is
But
crazy. Like people, I don't know. The stock
yeah,
market,
what do you think?
I don't know. Like this is nuts. They're like we see this like, this little demo of like a, quote unquote game AI and people are like that's it. We're pulling out. It's over. Like I don't know. That's crazy to
Do you
me.
feel worried that you're gonna lose your like game developer title because of this tool?
No. No, not at all.
What's your argument?
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying before. Like I think the theme here is basically like I'm glad I'm indie and like I'm glad that there is the option for indie because people still appreciate a good game. They really appreciate owning the thing that they bought. And like I don't know, I feel like these are, AAA studios or, double A, I don't know. The big ones. And like they don't I don't know, they don't appreciate the art of games. They appreciate maybe just having the latest greatest game. I don't know. I'm not making sense here, but like to me, it makes me appreciate indie dev because I think that there's still appreciation for good games, um,
Right.
and it doesn't have to do with the stock market. You know?
Yeah, I do think that's what it comes back to as well, is that people do enjoy handcrafted experiences, be it a movie, a song, or a video game. It's not just like if you look at the last line of this article, it's really ridiculous. Unity responded basically, or someone from Unity responded to the fact that Unity want to be like use this tool rather than be a competitor of it, like to integrate it with it. But the last like couple of quotes, it's so silly because it's all buzzwords and
Uh
it's
huh.
all about like being efficient and monetizing
Uh huh.
and like just using weird like Unity provides the execution layer that transforms generated content into reliable monetizable experience. It sounds just like it's like copywritten, right? It's just marketing material. This doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and
Like,
I felt like a lot of this didn't make any sense. They were like, we're gonna turn videos into like worlds. I was like, that doesn't make sense.
it's just corporate speak for we don't really know how it works, but we're
Yeah.
gonna try to use it. So I'm not too worried. I understand why the stock market reacted like it did because those people are just like gambling, but
Yep.
like legally. So it does kind of make sense, but I don't think we need to be worried.
Yep. I hope
Anyway,
not.
that's enough about that one, I think. Unless you have anything else to say about it.
Nope, that's gonna be it. So yeah, thanks for the articles as always, and yeah, go check out Droppy Ball. Anyone in the chat, go check out Droppy Ball if you haven't already, and we'll do this again next week. But I gotta run to work, so I'm
All
leaving.
right, good luck, man.